and welcome to my new playlist on skirt pattern making using the Bunka method in Cloth 3D. In this series, we'll discuss a wide variety of skirt styles, how to draft their patterns, choose the right fabric, and understand the many details that go into making them properly. Before diving into Bunka, I always thought skirts were one of the easiest garments to make. But after studying this method, I realized there is so much more to skirts than meets the eye. That's why I'm excited to share everything I've learned with you. In this video, which is an introduction, we'll cover these subjects. First, we classify skirts based on their shape and fabric, then based on their waistband shape, then based on the length. Later, we'll talk about functionality of skirts and how their fit changes due to body movement. Lastly, we'll discuss the relation between walking stride length and hem circumference. Okay, the first group of skirts classified based on shape is a slim skirt. We first discuss the shape of a skirt because the shape is an important factor when we want to choose the fabric. A slim skirt is a closely fitted skirt that each side either comes down straight or narrows down slightly at hem as you see in this image. These are some examples of a slim skirt. As you see, they are tightly fitted at waist and hip, and they either narrow down or come straight down. Due to close fitting shape of this skirt, fabric is under constant tension. So that's why we should choose a strong elastic fabric such as woolen fabric, flannel, denim, worsted, Gabardine, Saxony, double georgette, and tweed. Because there is not much room at hem for walking or movement, pleats, slits, or vent are added to hem to make the walking easier. Pleats can have many kind of shapes, and based on their shape, we give them different names. For example, in this image, you see kick pleat and inverted pleat. Kick pleat is when fabric is folded on itself on one side of the garment at bottom of the hem, but inverted pleat is when fabric is folded in a way that the folded edges are meeting each other and the extra fabric goes inside the garment. Another kind of opening which we can have is a slit. A slit is a long, narrow cut with no overlapping of the garment at the opening. And the last one is a vent, which is a type of a slit where the fabric overlaps at the extension. In this slide, you can see some examples of openings added to the bottom of a slim or narrow skirt for ease of movement. The first one is kick pleats. As you see in this skirt, the folded part is on one side of the garment. The next one is inverted pleat. As you see, the edges of the pleat are meeting each other and the folded part is inside the garment. The next one is a slit on a denim skirt. And the next one and the last one is vent. As you see at top of the vent there is a slant top stitch which helps keeping the overlap part of the vent together. The next group of skirts are called trapeze skirt. They are called trapeze because their shape is like a trapezoid. These skirts are fitted at waist and hip and they slightly flare out when they go to the hem part. Uh, and the fabric which are suitable for this kind of skirts is similar to a slim skirt because they are also fitted at waist and hip, and that's why we need a strong fabric, just the same as the fabric we needed for the slim skirt. The next group of skirts are called flared skirts. A skirt that is fitted only at waist and it flares out at hem. In motion, the hemline forms a beautiful arc. Some flared skirts also have gathers below waistband, in addition to the downward flare. A skirt that is cut in a full circle is called circular skirt, and the skirt which is cut in half circle is called a semicircular skirt. Here you can see some examples of flared skirt. The first image, as you see, the volume at bottom of a skirt is not too much, so we can guess that this was a half circle. It was not a full circle. But the second skirt, as you see, it's very voluminous at bottom, which shows it is cut on a full circle. And the last skirt is a full circle, plus there are some gathers below the waistband. Now let's talk about fabrics we can use for this kind of skirt. Good fabrics for flared skirts should have similar elasticity and feel in both the warp and weft direction. It is best to avoid loosely woven fabrics that shift easily as they tend to lose their shape over time. The reason we need to choose this kind of fabric is that when we cut the fabric in a circular shape or a semicircular shape, the bottom of the uh, skirt will be on bias direction, and if it's not a strong fabric, it might lose its shape because all fabrics stretch out more on bias direction. Wool fabrics such as flannel, double georgette, Saxony, and worsted are excellent choices for maintaining structure and drape. Cotton options like broadcloth and cotton satin can also work well. Synthetic fabric may also be suitable depending on the skirt's purpose. The fourth group of skirts are constructed from several pattern pieces. In this group, we have gored skirt, mermaid skirt, and boy scout skirt. Gored skirt is a skirt constructed from multiple vertical panels. The design is created by joining 4, 6, or 8 panels together or by adding flare or pleats into the seams to shape the silhouette. Mermaid skirt is a type of gored skirt with a fitted silhouette that closely follows the body from the waist to knees, then flares out below the knees to resemble a mermaid tail. And the bias cut skirt is made with panels cut on the bias, often arranged in a spiral like layout. This technique creates a naturally fluid drape and results in a softly flared silhouette. The fabric we choose for this kind of a skirt depends on the volume of skirts and how the length and shape of the skirt is. For example, for a silhouette with little volume, the one you see in the first image, this green skirt, fabrics that are tightly woven and elastic are suitable. But for the skirts which are more voluminous, like this mermaid skirt and this bias cut skirt, light soft fabric are suitable because they will have a better drape. Fifth group of skirts have fullness from waist to hip. In this group, we have peg top skirt and barrel skirt. A peg top skirt has fullness at the waist and narrows at hem. It resembles an inverted pear shape. The fullness is created by dart, tucks, or gathers. The next one is barrel skirt, which has fullness at hip, but it narrows down both at waist and hem, resembling a barrel. Depending on the hem width, these skirts might need a slit at hem for ease of movement. These are some examples of peg top skirt and barrel skirt. We need to use the same fabric as for the straight skirt because the appearance of volume is required. Fabric that are both elastic and strong are suitable for this kind of skirt. The next group of skirts are pleated skirts. What is a pleat? A fold of fabric first in one direction and then back on itself is called a pleat. Pleats can make a garment look casual or dressy depending on the fabric used, the way they are folded, their width, and the length of skirt. For the fabric, since pleats add weight and volume to the garment, it's best to choose a fabric that is as light and thin as appropriate for the season. Fabrics that contain thermoplastic polyester fibers are especially beneficial as they help the pleats hold their shape and resist falling out over time. In this slide, you can see some examples of a pleated skirt, and as you see, the choice of fabric is different based on the kind of the pleat. The first image shows an inverted pleat skirt, and because there's only one pleat, it's not adding so much volume to our skirt. We can choose a heavy fabric. The inverted pleat, as we mentioned before, is the pleat that its folded edges are meeting outside and the folded part is inside the garment. The reverse can be said about the box pleat skirt. As you see in this image, the folded part of the pleats are outside. The next image is a one-way pleated skirt, and the reason I put this image is to show that even men can wear skirts at times. This is called a kilt, a pleated skirt worn by Scottish men. They used to wear it back in the history, and they even wear it now to keep their tradition. As you see, there are pleats on this skirt, and the fabric which is used for making this skirt is called tartan. The last pleated skirt we see here is umbrella pleated skirt, and the reason it's called that is that the bottom edge of it resembles the edges of an umbrella. The next group of skirt are called divided skirt. A divided skirt looks like a regular skirt when still, but it's actually split into two sections like pants. It can be made in many silhouettes from flared to fitted. They are also called culottes. Culottes were initially were a sport skirt designed for horseback riding by women, but now they are widely worn both as sportswear and street clothing. Fabrics which are suitable are tightly woven, strong, and have some elasticity. Here you can see some examples of culottes or divided skirt in different shapes and lengths. The next group of skirts are the one constructed from rectangular pieces of pattern. These rectangular pieces of fabrics are gathered or tucked at the waist and finished with a waistband. Their look can vary depending on the length, the amount of gatherings, and fabric choice, and they can also include horizontal panels. As you see in this image, we have gathered skirts with gathering below waist, flounce skirt which has this ruffle at bottom, tied skirt which has horizontal panels, and soft pleated skirt which again is a piece of rectangle pleated at top to fit the waist. For fabric, lightweight firm fabrics work best because the overall volume increases, and these skirts are great for showing off border print as well. So if you have a piece of fabric with nice border, it's a good idea to make this kind of a skirt from it to show off the border. Suitable fabrics include georgette, wool challis, broadcloth, cotton, satin, gingham, border print, lightweight silks, or synthetics. Here you see some examples of these skirts. First one is a gathered skirt which has gathers at waist and its bottom has a printed border which shows that it actually was a rectangle piece, and to show off the border we can create this kind of pattern. The next one is a flounce skirt. You see the pieces of ruffle which are rectangles gathered at top and added to the bottom. The next one is tired skirt. So these pieces that are uh, sewn together are called tired because they resemble the tire of a car, of course. And the last one is a soft pleated skirt. Again, a rectangle piece of fabric which is softly pleated at waist to fit the body. Okay, now that we are finished with classifying a skirt based on their shape and fabric, we can go through the waist position and classify skirt based on the waist shape and where it sits on the body. The first type of skirts in this category are hip riding skirt. They are sitting a bit low, and as you see, they are closer. The waistline is closer to the hip line. The next one is a skirt without waistband. The next is a skirt with waistband. After that, we have a skirt with high waistband. The next one is high-waisted skirt in which we don't have a waist seam. And the last one is a pinafore, which of course the skirt is connected to top and we have a waist seam. These are some examples for the waist shape. This denim skirt is sitting very low and we can call it hip riding. The next one doesn't have a waist seam, it's very clean. The waist actually has a facing which is inside the garment. This pleated skirt has a waistband which sits at natural waistline. This skirt has a waistband, we can see the seam and is high on the body. The next one is also high-waisted skirt, but we don't know if there is a seam or not. So I put this picture. There may be or may not be a seam under these both. And the last one is the pinafore. The waist has some gathers and is sitting a bit low. Again, this waist position depends on the style and where we want the waistline to be. Now we can classify a skirt based on their length. The shortest one is micro mini length. The hemline of a skirt sits on upper thigh level. After that, we have mini length or short length in which the hemline sits above the knee. The third one is normal length in which the hemline is at knee level. Then we have the midi length or mid mallet length in which the hemline is below knee. Then we have long length or maxi length in which the hemline is near ankle. And after that we have the full length in which hemline is below ankle. Now let's talk about functionality of the skirt. It is important that the skirts used in our everyday lives do not obstruct our leg movement. We have two kinds of movements. Movements in which legs stay close together, such as sitting down, bending, or crossing legs, and movements in which legs are open, such as walking, running, and climbing. When designing skirts, consider the functionality of the skirts, including changes in the measurement of the hips and the waist caused by these movements, and the girths necessary for walking and other movements while wearing the skirts. Let's consider the sitting position first. As you see in this diagram, when the person is sitting in a very slim skirt, the skirt bunches up in the front and it rises up on the back, causing the skirt length to become shorter. While when we have a skirt which has a lot of volume and fullness, in sitting position, the bottom of a skirt falls downward and uh, goes away from the body and creates even a longer length. You can see this better in these images. Look at this slim and tight fitted skirt. When she is standing, the hemline is at mid thigh level. But when she is sitting down, we see the bunching happening at front and the hem of a skirt goes even higher and we see bigger portion of her legs. So we should consider this when we are designing this kind of a skirt and determining the length of this skirt. On the other hand, on this huge scale, when she is standing up, we might be able to see her ankle when she's walking, but when she sits down, the skirt's hem falls even lower and her legs are completely disappear. But how much our body changes in sitting position? When you sit or bend, your waist measurement is increased by 1.5 to 3 centimeters, and your hip circumference increases by 2.5 to 4 centimeters. That is the main reason when we are making pattern for a skirt, we need to add some ease to waist and hip. But how much? If we add that 3 centimeters, the problem is that our waist becomes very loose in a standing position and a skirt might fall off. So we usually add around 1 centimeter of ease at the waist, which is enough, and our body can tolerate the rest of that 2 centimeters, which is missing when we are sitting. And because if we add more, the skirt may fall off in a standing position. The last point I want to talk about is the relation between walking stride length and hem girth. The hem circumference of a skirt has a direct effect on ease of walking. The longer the skirt is, the wider hem circumference should be for ease of walking. If we want to create a slim silhouette which ends below knee, we need to add an opening such as a slit, vent, or pleat for the ease of movement. In below chart, you can see based on the average stride length, which is around 67 centimeters, how much the minimum of a skirt girth should be based on the length of the skirt. For example, if the length of our skirt is finishes 10 centimeters above the knee, around here, the hem of the skirt should be at least 94 centimeters. And when we come to the knee level, if we have this length for our skirt, hem at least should be 100 centimeters. If we want to make it smaller, as I mentioned, we need to add a slit or pleat for ease of movement. And based on this chart, the lower you go on the length of the skirt, you need more hem circumference. With this last slide, I conclude my introduction for skirts, and I'm excited to start pattern making for all types of these skirts in the next videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next Saturday.